Well, good morning. Wow, the third Sunday of Advent. It is so exciting. But I have to say, there's a very good possibility we're going to be visited upon by another Magus. Now, as you may or may not know, the singular form of Magi is Magus. And every Sunday, my message has been interrupted by some Magus coming in, and I know there's got to be another one because there's 3 wise ones, yes? So, would you help me? Would you help me? Let's say, come out, Magus! On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Come out, Magus!
Hey, dude, what's all the shouting about?
Oh, we were counting on you coming in, and we thought we'd welcome you.
Me, no big deal about me. I'm just a Magus dude. In fact, does anybody know the special Magi handshake? Something like that.
So wise. So wise. Well, Mr. Magus, haven't you noticed the new star in the east?
Yeah, I did see a star,
Yeah.
and I like stars, and it was kind of neat because the part that was really fascinating about it was just so magical. And the part that's really weird is when I like to look at stars, I just go for days and days, and then I get real tired. And in fact, right now I'm getting pretty tired, so I think I'm gonna crash a little bit.
You can't take a nap. You gotta get going. There's 2 other Magi. They're already well on their way to Bethlehem. You just hold that thought. Okay, everyone. We've got to convince this one to get going now. There's no time to sleep it off like this. So, what are we going to tell this guy to get on the road? Keep going? Yeah. What else? It's divine purpose. History must repeat itself. What? He needs to be empowered. Thank you. Anything else? Wake up. Okay, Magus. Wake up.
Well, if you feel strongly about that, I guess I could maybe go to Bethlehem and that kind of deal. Yeah?
I think that
but hey, I just saw it. Before I do something like that, I usually have to take a long nap.
Wait. There's something here that's very important. There's this task of going to Bethlehem, supporting the 2 who are already there. You're really needed. And it's within that movement of activity that more will happen. So you must get on the road and get to where you're going now.
Well, if you really feel strongly about it, I think I could probably go. And off to Bethlehem and, hey, dude and dudettes, wake up.
Now that's good stuff. As he's on his way and on the road to Bethlehem, let's stand, if you're able, and let's sing with energy our congregational song, O Little Town of Bethlehem.
Ever stars together proclaim the holy birth, and praises sing to God the King, and peace to men on earth. O holy child of Bethlehem, descend on us, we pray. As thou art sin and entering, be born in us today. We hear the Christmas angel with great glad tidings tell. Oh, come to us, abide with us, O Lord Emmanuel.
You may be seated. The circle of love. Now, as human beings, we are so attached to love. I did some research, and if you take all songs written over all time, over half of them are about love. In fact, the top 40 charts since 1960, there are 1,200 songs where love is part of the title. You can think of a few of these, can't you? Love is many splendid things. What's love got to do with it? She loves you, yeah, yeah, yeah. Clearly, I'm not going to start singing, but we use this concept of love because it's a truth that's so important for us. So it's no accident that for this third Sunday of Advent, we're going to focus on love. Now, one aspect that I want to focus on is a truth that's taken from the book A Course in Miracles. It says, "Let me remember I am one with God." Now, this is what we teach in unity. We know that there is only one presence and one power in the universe, God. And we also know that we're in the likeness of that very essence and presence. We're one with God. And when we come from this knowing, when we come to a realization that we are always one with God, what begins to happen in our life? Well, I turn to the wisdom of ancient Greek philosopher Empedocles, and he says it this way. The nature of God is a circle of which the center is everywhere, and the circumference is nowhere. So within this wisdom, we know that there's no place where God is not. And so in the circle, God is everywhere present all the time. But if we go to draw the distance of God, we can't measure it. There's nothing to measure except our own journey, our own knowing. So Empedocles may have been the first unity minister. How cool is that? We turn to the gospel, John 4:9. God is love. We also teach this all the time because the energy of love is something that we can relate to. And if we see that God is love working everywhere present in the universe, that's an energy we can identify with. God is love. Hence, I am love. You are love. We are love. Let's write another song about it. Now I turn to this, you might recognize him, very famous actor, Donald Curtis. He was on Perry Mason. And he also became a unity minister, started Unity of Denver, and had a huge congregation. And his writings are very powerful. He says, Whatever we may be making, writing, saying, or doing, we need to do it with love. Love allows God to express through us. Thus, all things in our life will find their perfect balance. So, if I begin in love, if we, whenever we do whatever is ours to do, at work, at home, at play, no matter what we do, if we do it in love, it's the very act of allowing God to flow through us. If God is love, if we're loving and doing, making, having, being, we're going to be infusing the world with love. Now, one thing I'm going to suggest here is that we adopt as part of our spiritual practice the practice of doing for others. By making, being, saying, writing for others. We have an innate knowing what others need because we're quite in touch with what we need. And if I need it, you need it too. And that's how we live, move, and have our effect in the world by doing for others. I turn to the wisdom of Eric Butterworth, who is a powerful unity minister in New York City, and he wrote some seminal unity writing. We may be successful without love. We might even be healthy without love for a time. But we cannot be whole without love. And thus we cannot be happy or peaceful or fulfilled. This is where we awaken to a much deeper truth. Now, there was a time in my life where I didn't identify with this truth. I identified that I wasn't enough, that there wasn't going to be enough, and I was on the short end of the stick. And what I got in my life as a result of that is evidence that that was so true. For me. But when I began to love myself, honor the truth of my own being, which takes practice, all of a sudden I had peace and fulfillment, joy, prosperity in my life. Where before that, that wasn't evident. It was pain and depression and lack and poor me. Now we turn to the wisdom of Lao Tzu. So this is profound wisdom that human beings have known forever. And he says it this way. Being deeply loved by someone gives you strength, while loving someone deeply gives you courage. Now trust me, sometimes being loving to someone who's not being very loving takes courage. It takes courage to love no matter what. It takes love to stand up to and love through the course. But the very act of doing that courageous journey of loving gives us our strength, has us know the truth that fills every cell of our being with purpose and being. And there's no lack. When we're one with God, there's no lack. So we give love. And we're strengthened by love. It's a circle that flows in, through, and about us. And that very act of giving love is the action of moving God through us, which in turn allows the lavish love of God to shower upon us and gives us the strength, the renewal, the healing, and the knowing that we are right now in the right place. Just like our Magus, who just tarried his way on to Bethlehem, is in his right action. And it happens with love. Sue Seeking was a wonderful unity minister, and she has this perspective. In love, there is no Jew, Christian, Buddhist, or any other sect or difference. We are all one race, the transparent race of God that fills every person with its invisible presence. If we go back to that circle of God, everywhere present, there's no separation in God. God is always whole. And if we're one with God, we are always whole. And it's that very essence of wholeness that links us in unity with all others. Whether we can speak the same language or not. Whether when we refer to God, we use the same name or not. Sue continues to say this. Love is the greatest power on earth, and the world love is easy to understand. It is simply stated in the golden rule: to want good for every human being on the face of the earth as fervently as we want our own. This is the activity of Spirit moving through us. And why I'm asking you to adopt the practice of putting others first. For doing for others is holding the highest watch for everyone else. And when we're in that activity of service, there's no lack. And we're all one. And everything is provided. For when we do that work, it's amazing how others will align with it. Now, there's wonderful examples of this in our time. Mahatma Gandhi, who did great works of wanting good for all human beings, that he changed a nation. And by changing that nation, he changed the world and made our lives different. And then Mother Teresa, who got the calling that each person, every human being, is Jesus. And then she responded to each person, what does this Jesus need? What does this Jesus need? In her act of loving service, she opened the doors to every nation. Every nation invited her service into it because every nation identifies that love has no bound. And when we're doing that act of selfless service to others, it transforms lives. Mother Teresa was invited to be a keynote speaker on world poverty and hunger in Calcutta. And people from all over the world gathered to go in to hear Mother Teresa speak. And they waited. And they waited, and they waited. But she didn't come in. Well, there was a dying man on the steps of the auditorium where she was giving this speech. And when she arrived and saw the dying man on the steps, she picked him up and took him to a place where he could be comfortable and die in peace. And when they went to Mother Teresa and said, well, we were so eager to hear what you had to say. She said, you all walked past this dying man, and I did something about it. That's your example. And she didn't say it that way because she sees everyone in love. Not I'm better than you. I'm one with you. And from that, we can transform our community. We can transform the people at work, our neighbors, our home. I turn to the writing of Robert Heinlein, who's an author, science fiction writer. He says, love is that condition in which the happiness of another person is essential to your own. Wow. So this being here for others is essential to our own well-being, our own fulfillment, our own strength. Is there any reason to not extend our love to others first? We know this in unity. We do it in what we do in the world. Are we embodying it in our lives every day? Let's adopt it as our practice. And I turn to the wise words of Rumi, a Persian poet, who says it this way. Your task is not to seek for love, but to merely seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. The truth is, we're always one with that love. And within that identification, that beingness, the now presence of God within us, we can begin to do what is ours to do. And every time we're of service, what comes back to us is more love, more peace, more fulfillment. And we peel away another layer of some idea that we're not good enough, or that we're less than, or that we were somehow hurt by anyone, rather than one with the lavish, wonderful grace and light of love that's always ours to be. And so let this be our message today, our Advent Sunday, that love is, as we extend our hearts to be of service to more and more and more. And so it is. We now take this into our hearts as we take the things out of our hands and relax into this time of meditation as we begin in song. is praise. Let's let this praise be deep breath. And while we're breathing deeply, let us bring to mind someone that we love so deeply. Revel in the thoughts of love for this person and how it makes you feel. And with a deep breath, allow that love to drop into your heart. So your heart center is resonating and vibrating with love. And as you're breathing in and breathing out, allow your breath to extend the love to everyone in this room. There's more love to share as we extend our love to everyone in this community. The love expands as we extend our heart and love to the entire state of Texas. Breathing into this wellspring of love, we allow the love to shine directly from our hearts to the whole North American continent. Let's allow this deep sense and vibrating energy of love surround and infuse every heart, every being on this planet. Let's extend that heart to every creature, to every plant and tree, in the entire ecosystem. And from this ball of love, let's shower the universe with our love. Love never dies. It always continues. So right here in this meditation, we're sending love into every place that God is. And one in that love, we take some time now in the silence. in our sweet silence, we can always touch the center of love that's connected with each and every heart and all God is. And with joy, we come back to this room, this presence, might wiggle our fingers and our toes, roll our head. And when you're ready, open your eyes. And all is well. I have an affirmation for this day. Love guides me to the wisdom of spirit. Together. Love guides me to the wisdom of spirit. And so it is.
Lead your faith. Step back.